Now, Outcome Memories is possibly one of the most popular fan-made horror games on Roblox from almost a year now. And if you include Total Disaster and everything, then it's been for quite a while that Sonic.exe has been recognized as a Roblox horror game thing. Now, everybody does know, of course, the original Sonic.exe fan games that you would find on Game Jolt, you'd see early on in the internet. And of course, they were a big childhood fear for everybody. But now with the new era of having these games on Roblox and having a 3D survival horror experience, a lot of people do wonder one question. What is Outcome Memories even about? Now before we start, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below what do you all think. I will be working on another giveaway soon. I will let you all know when it does begin, so stay tuned for that. And thank you all for the support. Now on to the video. Now today I will explain the origin story of Outcome Memories, and what is the actual lore for the game, and everything that you need to know about the story when it comes to Outcome Memories. Now those of you who are new to this, Outcome Memories is a Sonic.exe horror game on Roblox. It's basically an asymmetrical survival horror multiplayer game where one player will be the executioner, quote unquote the killer or .exe or whoever, and the rest of the players are trying to escape or survive. Now, if you want to know the origin of Outcome Memories, you have to start off with Sonic.exe The Disaster, which was the original horror game on Roblox. So this was created by Outlake, and back around 2021, the game did start development, and around 2022, Outlake would release an update on Sonic.exe The Disaster, which was nearly every day, just seeing feedback on users and everything, seeing how the game is. And of course, then you got around March 13th, 2022, Outlake would create Sonic.exe Extermination, a game to recreate Sonic.exe Sandbox for the second time. Outlake later decided to finish Sonic.exe Extermination on May 14th, 2022, with version 0.6 as the last Extermination update. After getting enough rest, Outlake was motivated to continue developing Sonic.exe The Disaster again, and Outlake did have a lot of ideas to add to the game. Now when you want to make it to the main game, throughout 2023 Outlake focused on experimental mode, making a version 0.7 and making it its own game, no longer being the testing version of Sonic.exe The Disaster. After multiple updates, Sonic.exe The Disaster did release on version 1, which would completely overhaul the entire game after only having a few sub-versions. Development on version 1.1 would be started and would be released on October 2023, pulling it apart of a Halloween update. Now in 2024, a version 1.2 for the Disaster would be worked on. New character models were designed, which were later revealed coming to Total Disaster. A prototype for the update was released on April 5th, 2024, which was originally going to be up for a week, but was later extended. A major update to the prototype was released on July 25th, 2024. It then later fully released on October 18, 2024, and after the release of version 1.2, Outlake announced taking a break after releasing this update. At some point, Outlake started developing version 1.3, being released on December 19th, 2024 as a Christmas update. And then by 2025 was the death of Total Disaster, because development on version 1.4 was running smoothly. However, on May 5th, 2025, Sonic.exe The Disaster was deleted by Sega Corporation for undisclosed reasons. Because of this, Outlake decided to abandon Sonic-related games. Now, of course, for Total Disaster, the main protagonist was Tails alongside the whole other crew, and the main EXEs were Sonic.exe, Colossus, and Tails Doll. Now on to Outcome Memories, and on a quick note, I'm not going into too much detail for Total Disaster and Outcome Memories development. And then July 25th, 2025, Outcome Memories was released, the first version, as a successor to Total Disaster. The main creator for Outcome Memories was Sobi. Now Outcome Memories was mostly on private servers for the beginning first month, and with 7 survivors and 1 executioner. The survivors being Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Cream, Eggman, and Metal Sonic, and the 1 executioner being 2011X. Now over time they added way more characters. They did add Silver, they added Blaze, they added Colossus, they added Tripwire, and of course Shadow the Hedgehog and Fleetway Supersonic being very deep in development but couldn't make it to version 0.2. But they did eventually now make it currently. and as well as Furnace and Starved being planned in the game, and many other characters. And Outcome Memories was the basic concept. You do have a lot of these Sonic characters, and then you have the Hunters being the Sonic.exe characters, Fleetway Supersonic being the exception. And version 0.3 would have had a lot of characters coming up, a finalized version of Shadow the Hedgehog, finalized version of Fleetway Supersonic, as well as Lord X and Fang the Sniper, and so many more characters that could have came. And the big specialty of Outcome Memories was, unlike Total Disaster and many other Sonic.exe games in the past, Sonic was a playable character in this game. So the game did grow a lot of love, a lot of fans, a lot of hype around the game. Everybody was excited for the next updates, and everybody was keeping track with what's going on with the developers. But of course, over time, drama does unfold. Now, Outcome Memories did have a lot of drama, which I do not want to talk about in this video. But long story short, the creator Sobi did eventually leave the team, and many others left. We got a new owner, and a lot of drama was going on, up until the game did get shelved on January 11th by Sobi. And then around January 26th, the game did get discontinued. Now, Outcome Memories was of course heavily inspired by Total Disaster, like said before. Now let's get into the lore for Outcome Memories, and we will be getting a lot back from Total Disaster. So starting things off with 2011X, or just X. So 2011X did come from an unknown void, and 2011X loves playing games with people, loves slowly killing them and just having a lot of fun while doing it, loves playing the cat and mouse chase with them. He's basically a sadistic and cruel monster, obsessed with the characters in the Sonic series, and loves abusing them with his brutal games. And he sees himself as some being who could do whatever he wants, so he is more than qualified for what's about to come next. So Outcome Memories is an unknown void similar to the one where X came from. It is a hellish purgatory holding captive both the executioners and survivors in endless timelines with different outcomes. Most of the executioners do not want to leave because they enjoy the chase. They enjoy hunting down the victims. While the survivors do everything they can to both survive and escape, any survivors who happen to die are sent to another timeline inside the purgatory, repeating the cycle all over again. Upon entry of the void, the participants are either buffed or debuffed, putting each other on an equal level of power. This is why such characters as Starved would be more powerful than usual. Said purgatory has the appearance of a dark abyss with red tints, large chains connecting to rocks and debris, along with white portals scattered around, similar to the Shatterverse from Sonic Prime, but of course much darker. It is implied that this is where the survivors and possibly the executioners reside in between rounds, as well as the place they are taken from and thrown into after said matches. Alucard is a presumed exception for this, as he is said to watch over rounds instead. Now, Alucard was supposed to be an Outcome Memories exclusive .exe character who wasn't really supposed to be playable, but was a cancelled executioner who was supposed to be, like said before, more of an observer than anything else. Now, in Outcome Memories, 2011X and Tails have been stated to be from the same universe. Despite this, Tails is not Alan, as it was confirmed by Sobi that the survivors are the actual Sega characters. That's what fits along best. That's how you have Sonic, that's how you have Shadow, Silver, many of these other characters that you wouldn't have them in the main roster for a lot of these other Sonic.exe stories, but you always do have Sonic.exe and Tails. Because in a lot of these stories, as example in Total Disaster, it was confirmed that the characters like Sonic.exe and Colossus did take over Sonic the Hedgehog's body. Because Outcome Memories and Total Disaster have a very similar story, they are in a loop, and whoever's the spectator is confirmed to be actually dead, which was in Total Disaster, and assuming it could be in Outcome Memories that during that timeline, while somebody does die, they are possibly spectating what is actually going on before they get sent to the next purgatory. Now, there is a character whose name is King, the real name being Omnius, who claims to have been the caretaker of an old Earth before being placed weakened into his current form via unknown means. During his time as a god, Omnius came to believe humanity was full of nothing but sin and states that the quote-unquote vessels of the player characters and outcome memories are distilled manifestations of those sins, whom he considers as plebeians and scum. Now, King does have a lot of strange powers, as in the fact that he can talk to you in the real world through a computer and everything. He could contact into the real world. And most likely, he does hold the power of controlling all these realms, and he is possibly the one pulling the strings behind Outcome Memories. And Outcome Memories is taking place in the modern time currently as we speak, with most of these characters being pulled out from the classic time period of their games. And Colossus is the only known executioner who does come from a modern time period due to being a demonic, godlike entity who possesses the corpse of a modern Sonic. And the exceptions for modern characters also include Infinite and Surge and possibly Omega, as well as the fact that all the survivors remember dying during rounds. And the Chaos Emeralds are stated to exist in a way, much like the Master Emerald, although their power seems to be significantly weakened in the realm of Outcome Memories, rendering them as just a cool shiny rock. But virtually they're useless. And of course, Chaos Energy does exist, how you have with Shadow and Fleetway Supersonic, but the Emeralds simply are unable to produce the same amount of power that they normally are able to. And when it comes to where did these characters come from specifically, Eggman was stated to be specifically taken before the events of Sonic 3 and Knuckles during the opening. Now when it comes to Colossus, Colossus did come straight from Total Disaster. It was said that Colossus did grab a survivor, and just before doing the job, Colossus did appear right into Outcome Memories. The survivor is unknown, but all we know is Outcome Memories does have a direct link with Total Disaster, specifically with Colossus. Now when it comes to the rest of the survivors, everybody does know they mostly come from the original classic games or first appearances. But when it comes to Silver, of course Silver is in the future timeline in the Sonic games, but this specific Silver is right before the events of Sonic 06, meaning that it is a much weaker and inexperienced version of Silver the Hedgehog. Now we don't have much on Alucard, but Alucard is stated to have a lore with Blaze. So we don't know where did Blaze specifically come from. My assumption could possibly be maybe Sonic Rush, which was Blaze's debut. Now like we're speaking, how Outcome Memories is in different realms every time, and you have different moments of each character coming into this game. So Lord X and 2011 X are in at the same time, and Lord X is said to be the only executioner and only person in here that willingly found a way again inside Outcome Memories. Now that's basically what Outcome Memories is. That's the lore of Outcome Memories. Over time, more executioners and more survivors do enter, of course, and even though Outcome Memories is cancelled, the game never ends and the loop is forever on. Now big credit to the unofficial Outcome Memories wiki and the Disasterpedia for giving a lot of this information, most of this information. So big shout out to those two websites. And if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below what do you think. And please comment down below and let me know what you want me to explain next. Should I explain 2011X? Should I explain Lord X? Should I explain Colossus? Just tell me what you guys want and I will do it. So until next time everybody, see y'all.